Hello friends, good morning, good afternoon. In this session, we are going to see temporary tables in SQL Server. We can call it as a temp tables as well. Yeah. First of all, temporary tables and table variable, city, derived table. These are the some different objects. In this, we can store the data temporary point of view. Means suppose why temporary table is required, then table variable is required, city, derived table. So if we have a question means if we have to data stored permanently in the database, then we can create the normal table, right? Let's say here is the database, right? And in that we have to create the table means like let's say there is a city table, create the script from it, right? So I'm not applying the any options at here, and then just simply primary key, right? There is a simple table means, but here this is table is the physical table, correct? And like this physical table there are multiple tables, those are we can call it as a physical table. But if here there is a, if we are going to create the same with same name, no, we can create because that object is already exist. If we are going to create city1, yes we can. And if you refresh it, then there is a city1 table is create, right? But it is the physical one and means it is the permanently available in this database. Select star from city, correct? Here if you going to select on that particular city, then yeah, there are four cities are available, no problem. And if we have to store the data means, let's say I'm taking the another example. Instead of the small data, I am taking the large data. Control C. There is a HIMS database, new query, then select star from patient or select star from city. I think there are only five cities here. So patient, I think there are 50k records something. Yeah, 50k records, right? And belongs to which city? There is a city ID is equal to 1, right? And I have to hold this data. First of all, there are 9k records, something 9,966. So I have to store that data in a temporary point of view. Means I have to do the some reports or some aggregations on it. Then what we have to do, or there is a some select query on that, means on the basis of this data we create the view. Then that is nothing but the virtual table. But ultimately in view we are not storing the data. There is one more thing, there is a indexed view as well. In the previous session we seen there is a indexed view, means we can it will occupy the space. Indexed will occupy the space, but actually view is not occupying that space, correct? Means we are not storing the data in the view, but in the physical table we can store the data, right? This is the data, but that data is the permanently available in the table. If there is a some select query or there is a some result or there is a data, we have to store for temporary purpose, correct? Means there are the 9 columns, means whatever 9 columns, 10 columns. So what I want, patient ID, I required only 2 columns or 3 columns at here, patient ID. And let's say uh, there is a different column. There is a first name and last name. Last name, okay. Only 3 columns I required, correct? And I filtered it from the city ID, means vertical filter as well as horizontal filter. Means I grabbed only 3 columns and only 9k records. I have to store this data for temporary point of view. Then what I have to do? either I have to create the one temporary table, right? Means let's say create table name means like, yeah, create table table name. I am calling it as a temp patient, temp patient patient. Then what we required, we have to specify the column names. First of all, patient ID, first name and last name, right? Then we we have to mention the data type, patient ID integer, then first name varchar, let's say 20. Okay, here comma required. So I am creating the temp patient. It is the physical table, and then I am inserting the data into the it, insert into temp patient. So what will happen at here means, let's say you are executing it, then the data is available in the physical table. Select star from, or you can mention the column as well, no problem. And here there is the data inside the temp patient, but it is the physical table. If you uh, miss press alt F1, then it you will get the complete information about that particular table. And here there is a, if you refresh HIMS, refresh it, and then you will get temp patient at here, right? Means that is the table name, and inside that there is a data is stored, correct? And so what I have to do, but I have to do means I have to store this data temporary purpose, not on the physically. Means if we are there is another select query, so then I have to make the any operations on it or any calculations on it. I have to store that data only for the temporary purpose, not the permanently, correct? Not the means persistent. So what I have to do here, I have to use only hash. So it is nothing but the temp table. Means here is the nothing but this is the hash indicating the temporary. Okay, so I am creating it, yeah. And then if you are mentioning at here, then just insert the data into the it, and then select star from hash. It is nothing but the, we are selecting the data from the temporary table. Means where it is stored, yeah, it is not available in your database, it is available temporary database stored in the temporary database. Temporary table is stored in the temporary database. Here is the system databases. There are four databases inside it: master, model, msdb and tempdb. Means from interview point of view also they will ask you what are the different types of system databases. So one of them is the temporary database, temporary db, tmpdb. Then refresh it, and then in there is a temporary tables. So here you will get, yeah, there is a TMP patient is created at here, and then means there is a hexadecimal number is appending to it. And if that same table is available in another session, okay, and if you are creating it, then it will also create. And here you will get two names for the same table name. Means there is a temp patient, but here closely observed there is a different names at here. Means at the end there is a 4b and here is the 4c. So if you are deleting the data, means here I am deleting the data from here. Means there is a, if I am delete from temp patient, where patient id is greater than this. Okay, 837 record has been deleted, and here you will get 9129. And if I'm going to select the query at here, yeah, so 9996. So miss both the sessions are independent. There is a nothing relationship in between these two tables. For the temporary point of view, we are creating the table, and miss whatever the data we have, we can store into that particular temp table, and we can do any operations on it. And at the end, once our work is done, then at the end that session is vanished, or you can explicitly drop that table. How to do that? First of all, drop table hash temp patient, then execute it, and then here refresh it. So there is a one table is dropped from here. Correct? Means I think you got the understanding about the means how that how to create the temporary table, and how they are created, and where it is created. Correct? And they occupying the space in the temp database. Okay. Yeah, and right now I'm closing this session. Means actually here, if you refresh it, there are one table. Means there are different tables, but from temp patient there is only one table. So this is the table we dropped, right? And I'm dropping this, and means actually I dropped this, and I'm closing the session now. And there is a one more session I created at miss I started at here, and there is a session ID is the 79. Okay, and 79 is nothing but the SPID, means process ID. I'm closing that as well. I'm not saving the data. Okay, and if you refresh it, then that is also gone. Means when we close the session, that temp table is dropped automatically. Correct? And there are different questions in our mind, means how to create the temp table, how to use it. So these are the some questions I written at here. So one by one we will go through that. And one more thing, there are some different objects as well, means like the temp table, table variable, city, derived table. Correct? Those are only required to store the data temporary point of view. Got it? How to create, how to do that activity. So one by one we will go through that. And miss how to create the index on temp table or table variable. It is possible, not possible, can we create it, can we not? So we can check that. And one more thing, there are some interview point of view questions as well, so we will cover that as well. But certain things about the temp table we have to understand it first, so that you will get clear understanding about the temp table. How to create it? Means as we know, we create the create table hash emp, then emp id. Means in this way we can create the temporary table. Correct? And then we can insert the data either from the insert statement or select into. Correct? At this is also one example. Means suppose, let's say previously I shown you one example. Here there is a HIMS database, and select star from patient where city ID is equal to 1. Correct? So you will get city ID record, and we deleted the data from it for means XYZ patient ID, right? But it is physically, means we are deleting the data from the physical table. But if we have to do it from temporary table, then we can, and it will not affect on the physical table, because in the temporary table we did that activity, and so it will not affect on the permanent table. So what we have to do, as means before few seconds we seen there is a we created the table, means like here, means there is a patient and then temp patient, and there are some columns we mentioned. So there is another way, using that we can insert the data into the temporary table, means we can runtime create the temporary table, as I have to show. First of all, patient ID, then I'm retrieving the another columns here, gender ID, right? These are the columns we required only, and there are the data, means there are the some different rows at here, means there is the uh, patient ID and gender ID mentioned. What I have to do, I have to do some select query, group by gender ID, and I'm counting the patient, means for that particular gender ID how many patients are, for that gender ID how many are male, how many are female, group by gender ID and then count. Okay, control X, we have to make it at front, and then just select this query. So gender ID there is a 4953 and 5013. So I have to insert this data result into the temp table. How to do that? So insert into, means select whatever the columns we have to required, we have to use that here, and then into hash pt, or we can call it as a temp pt. Okay, and then execute. So yeah, actually, why this issue, means why this error is or a warning occurred, because we didn't mention the column at here. That's why here there is a count of patient as count of patients, right? Okay, then there is a temp pt is created. If you refresh the temp database, then here is the temp pt is created. Got it? So miss select star, miss select star from where and group by, these are the normal query, but in direct miss into we have to use it at here, means whatever the columns we are getting here, so we are directly insert into this table, means runtime we are creating the table. And one more thing, if we do not mention the hash, then physical table will create. If you execute it, then just refresh the database, and yeah, here tables you could see template is created. And one more catch at here is whatever the size, based on that it will decide at runtime, and it will insert the data into the physical table. And if you use the hash, then it will use the, means in the background it will create the temporary table. Okay, yeah. And next thing is that, yeah, how to create it, yeah, we seen how to use it, we also seen, miss select star from emp. If we have to join with another table, then we can, no problem, using the select statement we can use that. And then where it is stored, yeah, actually it is stored in the temp database, and there is a temporary tables. Okay, we have to just mention, yeah, where it is stored, temp db. Okay, can we create the index on it? Yes. First of all, we have to check, yeah, this is the table, correct? Right now, what I have to give the example, instead of selecting all, instead of count. we can use the patient ID and count of patient. So yeah, no need into and no need of group by. Is this is the select query belongs to city ID, gender ID and patient ID, right? This is the data. And first of all, what we have to do here is if I required the data of right now I'm inserting the data into the temp table. First of all, into hash temp. Okay, means there is a new temp table is created at here. Select star from means we have to do any operation on it, then we can. Yeah, and after that I require where ID is equal to patient ID. Patient ID is equal to 179. Okay, so you will get that data very quickly, no problem. But if you see the execution plan of it, then it will give us the table scan. Why? Because it scan how many records are available in the temp table. There is a 9996. Got it? So if you are executing this, then it will scan the entire table. Table scan is occur 9966. Correct. If you last 6 row estimated number of rows to be read, it is miss whatever the data in it. So they are scanning it. Instead of that, I have to create the index on it. Means there is a large number of record scanning. So I am creating the index on it. Create index idx, then hash temp underscore on which column we have to create patient ID. Correct. And create index name on table name. Table name, what is table name? Temp. Okay. And on which column we have to create index patient ID. Yeah. Okay. So what it will do? It will create the index on patient ID. Means it will sort out the data very quickly and we will get the data. Means why index is required? To searching the data very quickly from the table. And if you are executing the same command again, then it will give us the result in a fraction of second. Right now the data is a very small, that's why we are not getting that result. But from execution plan point of view, we can see there is a improvement. How to see that? Yeah, here you can see there is a indexing is called and estimated number of rows to be read means last 6 or 7 rows. There is a estimated number of rows to be read as a only one instead of 9966 means there is a billions of records. So how to do that? First of all, create the index on it, then it will be faster. It is, I'm saying, yeah, from searching point of view, if you are executing the same where clause at some queries, then then if it is a performance is a bad for that query, then create the index on it for the better searching. And actually there are some adverse effect of indexing as well, but I will show all the things in the indexing session. But right now this is the one simple example for that. Means in execution plan, yeah, here is the I used start, that's why there is a row id lookup at here. But right now just keep in mind, yeah, means instead of 9966, I am selecting only one row, means I am iterating only one row instead of scanning entire data. Got it? So that is the meaning behind of that particular. Can we create the index on it? Okay, yeah, we can create the index. We can create the clustered index, we can create the non-clustered index as well, no problem. Because while we are creating the primary key, in the background clustered index will create. Okay, if you first of all I am dropping the table hash emp, then yes, execute it. And when we create the table at that time, emp id having the clustered index. Got it? Because there is a primary key I mentioned at here. That's why. Means we can have a clustered as well as not clustered index on the temporary table. And then next question, can we create the constraint on the temporary table? Yes, no problem. How to do that? Yeah, this is the sample I given at here. Means let's say there is a emp is the table. First of all, I'm dropping it, and here is the id column. Then here is the, and how many constraint we have. And actually I already mentioned all the constraints and keys in the previous session. Please go through that. uh, there is a primary key, we can pk, then fk foreign key, then uk unique key, and then not null constraint, then default constraint, then check constraint. Only six constraints are here, and out of that only foreign key constraint not allowed on the temporary table. Rest of the we can. Means we can create the primary key, we can create the unique key, then there is a not null constraint, then there is a default constraint, then there is a check constraint. So we can create all the constraint on it exclude foreign key. Means suppose I create the here temporary table as a hash emp. If I am creating the another table as a department, so there is a relationship between the primary key and as a primary key foreign key, so we can't do that. Only physical table we can do. In terms of the prime temporary table, we can't do the relationship as a pk and fk. Okay. Then next thing, can we create the temporary table in the stored procedure? Yes, we can we create the temporary table in the function? No. Why? Because first of all it is yes, and in function we can't use the temporary table because there is a in function we can't use the insert update delete dml operations. That's why we can, miss we can't use the temporary table. Instead of temp table we can use the table variable. For that means if you have to do any operations on the temporary data in the function, then you can use the table variable, that you have an option. Okay. And then next thing, how to drop. First of all, how to drop it? Yeah, there is a simple statement, drop table name. Got it? Or if you close the session, then it will automatically drop. Or there is a third thing, means I mentioned two things. One is the drop statement explicitly. Second thing, when you close the session, then there is a second thing. And third thing, when that particular temp table is used inside the stored procedure and you call that particular means stored procedure execution is started, and when there is stored procedure execution is done, means once that stored procedure calling is done at the end of the execution, then it will drop. Means that is scope related to the only that particular stored procedure. Means stored procedure, here is the sp call. Got it? And there is a execution begin and execution end. Correct? Means stored procedure call is done, then it will drop automatically once the stored procedure execution is done. Got it? Means that is the scope of that particular means temp table. Yeah. And yeah, scope and name overwritten. These are the good topics about it. Means based on that, there are two types in the temp table. How? Yeah. First of all, scope. Scope is nothing but means when I create this temp table. right? And here I am creating it here and I am selecting in the same session. Got it? So it is available. But if I am trying to call the same temp table in another session, so it will not, right? So that is nothing but the scope, means on same session it will available, on another session it is not available, correct? So such tables are called as a local temporary table. And global temporary table, it means those are available in the same session as well as in another session. So such tables are called as a global temporary table. This is nothing but the scope. And there is a name overwritten. Name overwritten, it means I have to explain these two tables means their difference. But before of this, I am uh, trying to say about the name overwritten. Name overwritten, it means suppose you create the temp table in the same means in this session, correct? So first of all, I am dropping it and then I am creating it again and inserting the two records in it. Yeah, there is a select star from EMP. Yeah, this table is available. If I am trying to create the another temporary table in the same session with same name, so we can't. Yeah, if I am trying to create the temp table in the same session with another name, it is possible. But with same name, it can't possible. Got it? And if we have to create control X and then here I am executing this query, so we can create the same temporary table in another session. If you refresh it, then you will get, yeah, there is a hash emp and then there is a hash emp. Yeah, when the our session is begin, at that time I given a one example about the patient related things, right? Means there is a patient is called in this session or patient is called in this session, means there is a in number of session with same name you can create the temporary table, but in same session we can't create the temporary table means with same name. Got it? In another session we can, but in one session there are two, means once we create this table then again we can't create that because that is already available in that session, that's why. Got it? That is the answer for that name overwritten. Yeah, then next thing, what is the difference between the local temporary table and global temporary table? In most of the interviewer are asked this question. Local temporary table means those are the points I explained you, all are related to the local temporary tables. And global temporary table is the very simple. Means suppose, let's say this is the example. Instead of, yeah, what we have to do, this is the local temporary table. Single hash means local temporary table and double hash means global temporary table. That's it. But session wise scope is different for them. How? First of all, if you create the global EMP at here, it is created. If you are calling this table in another session, so it is, it means we can create that table, means we can create that table, correct? But in terms of the global, if you create the global, first of all I am dropping this drop table. First of all, I am creating the global temporary table in the this session and I am trying to create the same global temporary table in another session. We can not do. Why? Because that is available already available in the another session and that session is already opened. If there is a chance, means Let's say you created the global template table in this session and you closed it, then you can create in another session. Otherwise, we cannot. We can't do that. Okay. Means let's say here is the global template table is created at here. So here we can't do, correct. And if I am going to create, then we will get error there is already available. Hash global emp is available, so you can't create. Okay. Then next thing, those things are available on the local template table. Those are also available for the global template table. And scope and dropping things means we can drop that particular table in another sessions as well. Means let's say drop table. I created the global template table in this session, correct. Means here I created that, got it. And I am right now here is the, because I am not, I didn't inserted, so I inserted the data here, and that data is already this we can see in another session as well. Means that is available for the another sessions as well till the that session is not closed. Okay. And suppose I am going to drop this, it can drop. Why? Because that is already available for all the sessions, and so anyone can query that and they can easily drop that particular table, no problem. And I have to give same example. Is let's say I'm creating the global template table at here. Means I'm saying global another session. Okay, this table I'm creating at here, and then if you refresh it, then here there is a global template table. And if you are here is the some name, means there is a number appending, hexadecimal number is appending to the local template table. But in terms of the global template table, there is a no any hexadecimal number is appended. Please see carefully. And first of all, I am trying to create the same global template table, so we can't, right? And if I have to access that here, I can easily access in this session as well. Why? Because that is already global, correct. And but I close this session and then try to select it, so it is not available, and refresh it because you close that session. Means that is available till the their scope. Means once session is closed, then that scope is get vanished. That is the thing behind of that. And yes, uh, means we already explained scope, then name. Means for same name we can't create. There is a create global template table, and we have to give in another session you can create with another name, but with same name we can't. Means there is a global emp, here is the global emp I am trying to create, so it can't. Why? Because yeah, it is not created previously, it was dropped, that's why. So if you are trying to create in any other, then we are not able to create with same name. But with same name means here I created the hash temp. Means let's say here is the hash temp I created. So same table we can create in another session because their session is different. And means in local template table we have a facility, we can create in different sessions with same name, but for global we can't have that facility, that is uniquely available. That's why, means in different session with same global name it is not applicable. Got it? I think you got the my uh, questions as well as answer. If you have any doubt, then let me know in a comment section. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please share it and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. Bye bye.